Another day, another story. Katerina Yerskaya, owner of an advertising production company. I was born in Vilkovo in Odessa region in a Russian-speaking family. I went to a Russian-speaking school, but I learned Ukrainian there. By profession, I am a teacher of Ukrainian language and literature. Second education, law. I have been engaged in journalism for a long time, and now I own a small advertising and video production company. About a week before New Year, due to family circumstances, I moved to Mariupol. I decided to live there. I thought I would stay for several years. I liked it very much in Mariupol. Because at first I lived in Odessa where there was the sea, and then in Kryvyi Rog, which was an industrial city. And Mariupol is something in between. Many days before the start of the war, somewhere in early February, I woke up early in the morning to strange sounds. At first I thought they were construction sounds, but then I realized that it was shelling that was happening about 15 to 20 kilometers from where I lived. I was surprised, and when I started talking to the locals, it turned out that they had been hearing such sounds for the last 7 to 8 years. That night, when Russian troops invaded Ukraine, I did not wake up to the sounds of shelling, which I was by then used to. I woke up to a phone call telling me that Russia had crossed the Ukrainian border and a full-scale invasion had begun. My suitcase was already packed. I had all my documents, and if not psychologically, then somewhere in my heart I was ready for the war to begin. During the first days in Mariupol, the war was not felt at all. The coffee house where I usually had breakfast was open, and all the stores were open. People were shopping. Only a slight grocery panic was felt. Canned food, cereals and everything that people usually take as a reserve started disappearing. But everything could be found. The only embarrassment was the queues at the ATMs, because people were trying to withdraw cash. But cards continued to be accepted in all stores. Then different things started gradually disappearing in the city. First, the lights went on and off. Then, the water disappeared. Eventually, the gas was cut off as well. But worst of all, telephone service and internet service were lost. People were left without the ability to communicate, and couldn't call an ambulance or the police. A few weeks later, we understood that the city was being encircled. Then, the ring closed and a full-scale blockade began. The city felt it, and there was a real panic. Grocery stores and drugstores did not work. Everything was closed or looted. People who were left without food were in a terrible situation. It really was a humanitarian disaster. From the very first days of the war, I joined a volunteer movement which helped not only civilians, but also our soldiers. It was organized by several NGOs. We helped with food, water, fuel and, of course, hygienic products and medicines. Those who could transfer these things from warehouses and stores gave them to us, and we already distributed them. We interacted with the police, the military, Azov, the National Guard, and Marines. Of course, we also worked with civilians, those whose homes had been destroyed. They were relocated to improvised shelters. One of the biggest was in the drama theater, which was bombed. Of course, one organization is a drop in the ocean. According to official figures, we helped about 25,000 people, 2 to 3,000 a day. That's very little. But we figured it was better to do a little than nothing at all. To be continued.